Greetings everyone and welcome to the ninth episode of the Markademics podcast. I'm super happy as we have another great guest with us. This time Oscar Bjørn-Rosager, and I hope that I've pronounced it correctly, a real superstar in the e-commerce field in Europe, a person that I personally look up to, a Forbes 30 under 30 in Europe, in the whole Europe, in the e-commerce industry, a person who has turned his passion into a real business. And without further ado, we're going to start the episode because we have so many topics to discuss. But Oscar, before everything, how would you describe yourself, and what should the people that still don't know you, but they should, what should they know about yourself and what you do?
Thank you for bringing me along, Victor. I'm very pleased to be here. First of all, I'm 26 years old. I'm the CEO and founder of CYKOM, which is previously called Pro-Owned Cycling. And what I basically do is that when I was about 19, I was a young cyclist. I found out that the young cyclists got a lot of things sponsored. But every time it was the 1st of January, you would have to not throw it out, but you couldn't use it anymore because you got new sponsors. So I thought to myself, this is quite a pity, and remember this is back in 2016, so just the fact that people were wearing second-hand clothing was not even something that you did back then. So I started a business back then called secondhandcyclingclothing.dk. It was a really long
That's
and
the
stupid
longest name in the world.
Yeah, and my mail was even longer, so my mail was like oscar.bjorn.rosager@secondhandcyclingclothing.dk. So I mean, I got 0 emails of all the ones I tried to tell my mail to. But anyways, so I founded the business based on the fact that I wanted to resell the stuff that the professional cyclists couldn't use anymore. And basically what I started with was that I contacted my friends who were professionals, and I asked them if I could sell their used cycling clothing. And I think they thought that I had smoked a lot of pot or something like that, because they thought, okay, this guy is nuts. He wants to sell our used cycling clothing. Anyhow, I got some from a friend, and I sold everything within 24 hours on a Facebook page. And I thought, okay, this could maybe actually be a business. So in the hunger to start a business and able to develop myself, in the age of 19, I founded secondhandcyclingclothing.dk, which is today CYKOM. If we fast forward a little bit, it developed from buying the used cycling clothing from the riders, the professional cyclists, to buying the overstock and non-used clothing from the teams. And then further on developed into buying the bikes and the components and the equipments also from the team. So basically what we do is that every year we cooperate with a bunch of the professional cycling teams, and then we resell all the stuff that they aren't allowed to use anymore due to sponsor changes.
So just for information purposes, so basically for the people that are not into cycling that much, basically they're like big tournaments all around the world, and for example right now is the Tour de France. So for the people that are competing, there are different teams that are having big sponsorships, that are like having called as professional equipment, right? And they're not using it for the next tournament or for the next year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's totally correct. So basically, if you look at it from a sustainability problem, is that every year these guys change their sponsors, because this is like the best view in the world for the sponsors to show the newest equipment and the best equipment they have. So every year they want to upgrade, and every year they want to change the bikes, change the clothing, change the components, etc. This means that there's a lot of bikes, components, and clothing that they aren't allowed to use anymore. And that's where we come in and buy all the stuff.
Amazing. And is it still that the whole business model of CYKOM, is it just working with the teams and like providing this super big, like super high quality both clothing and equipment, or like what's the whole business model at the moment?
I'm glad that you're asking, because actually right now, so we're running several web shops. I saw at some point that lots of the professional teams were lacking in their way of selling their own in-season clothing on their own websites. So actually now we are running 3 of the Tour de France teams websites for them. So if you go to their fan website, we would be the one running them, and we are doing a 360 degree like a solution for them. So we buy the goods, we do the website, we sell the goods, we do the logistics, and we do the marketing for them. So basically we do everything for the teams. Additionally, we have a pop-up shop concept. So at all the biggest cycling races in the world, we have a pop-up shop. So if you go to Tour de France, like today, the stage is running right now actually, you would see us in the start and in the finishing area with a pop-up shop selling all the equipment, not the equipment, sorry, all the clothing of the teams. But here we are not selling last season gear, we are only selling in-season gear. So if you are near a Tour de France stage and you want to wear a jersey like Tadej Pogacar or Jonas Vingegaard, the Danish favorite, then you can go to one of our shops and buy the jersey.
Okay, so you're turning it from a store that's selling like the last season clothing and gear, equipment, like bikes, etc. You're turning the whole thing into a business that's just getting the whole, like building the whole marketing and selling elements of the big teams around Europe.
Yeah, exactly. So basically what we do is we see ourselves as all in all just a super integrated part of the professional cycling world, which means that basically we do the professional teams website, we sell the old gear of the professional teams, we help the professional teams to sell their in-season gear at the races where the fans are. And then we also have our own proprietary shops where we sell, of course, in-season gear and also the previous season gear. But we also have a bunch of brands that we are distributing because at some point I realized that when we are selling the used bikes of a cyclist, then we could sell a bike to the guy, but cyclists are like this, right? They are super thin. This means that we needed to have some clothing and we needed to have helmets and so on for them. And therefore we actually also having our own brand. So we have our own private label cycling clothing brand called Isolés. And so yeah, we have a bunch of stuff, but basically we are just deeply involved in the world of professional cycling.
Is Isolé going to be completely integrated into CYKOM, or that's a completely different story?
Yeah, so basically we also have a physical store here in Copenhagen. It's called CYKOM Store, and there we are selling a mix between Isolé clothing, so it's like an Isolé/CYKOM store. So we are selling Isolé clothing, some helmets, and all the other components you need for a bike, combined with the ex-professional bikes from the riders.
Okay, I mean, I just gotta say that you're doing so much that I'm really proud that another European is doing so much, and you're like a great example for all of us. But in the last episode on the Markademics podcast, I spoke with Izzy Rosenzweig, and he's like a great logistics expert, and he's doing so much in order to cut costs and like issues with cash flow in e-commerce businesses. And for the people that are typically watching the podcast, like 7-8 figure e-com brand owners, one of the biggest issues that most people are having is currently logistics and cash flow. What do you do and how do you keep your inventory in order for you to have enough cash left so that you can operate? What is the way that you build up, how is the way that you're building your logistics system?
Yeah, so basically this is also one of the most challenging issues for CYKOM and what I've been dealing with for the last 8 years almost. So we are having customers in a little more than 80 different countries, which means that we need to have a bunch of these different logistics solutions and working with FedEx, UPS, DHL and so on in order to get the goods all over the world. But one of the biggest issues as I see is of course logistics. Being able to sell in all those countries. Of course now there's a bunch of apps connecting to our Shopify stores that is helping, but also when you reach a certain level of revenue in lots of different countries, you need to have a VAT number there.
Yes.
So that's another thing that we had to comprehend with. I think we've solved it very well, but still it's still something that we are dealing with. And another thing is that when you sell in a lot of different countries, you experience a lot of different VAT rules, you experience a lot of different logistics problems, and that's something that you have to work with and something that you have to learn. So basically, instead of targeting each different small market, we just went worldwide from the start, which meant that when we opened up from selling only in Denmark to the whole world, within 6 months we had customers in a little more than 40 countries. This means that quite fast we were experiencing lots of logistics problems, but I think we handled it quite well by getting very good agreements with the big shipping couriers such as FedEx and UPS. However, I would still say that the cash flow problem is still something that we are, I wouldn't say struggling with, but still, it's something that we have to think about every day, because turning your inventory around is difficult. And also the fact that we are buying last season gear, which means that it's already a year old or a little bit more when we buy it. So we have to be very fast and very efficient in order to get all this stuff out there.
So in regards to that, I have two major questions on this, because I have faced this issue and other people are facing it in Europe. The VAT stuff is like, it's completely, nobody in the States cares about that, but for us in Europe, in the European Union, like that's a big thing. So how do you solve that issue when you're like probably having VAT issues in 20 countries at the same time? Like, who do you go to in order to solve this problem?
I would say, first of all, we have a very good bookkeeper here and a very good CFO who is good at handling it, but of course I had to learn a bunch of rules. Secondly, I would say that one of the main problems or one of the main issues that you will experience is that it's not really the biggest problem to sell in all those countries. It's to ensure that you're paying the right VAT to the different countries. This means that you need to really be very good at handling all your VAT reports. And I mean, from our side, we have always thought very big. This means that we have always considered that we need not just to be able to sell 3 orders in a country a day and handle all the manual small problems that we needed. We need to make it automatically so we can sell 500 orders in that country in a day. This means that we are still. This means that we had a big process in order to comprehend and in order to really automate all of these processes. It's still something that we are lacking. Sometimes have some flaws, like every e-commerce does. But I think that the power of automation and the power of using all of the amazing digital tools that we have nowadays is something that is really keeping us going and making sure that we are able to focus on the core business rather than focusing on handling manual work.
Yeah. Is there any like apps that you can say that are good for this or anything like that?
I mean, of course, now recently that Shopify released Shopify Markets, which has caused so that I would say 3 or 4 years ago you would have 5 different web shops, one in Danish, one in Swedish, one in English, one in Norwegian, one in German. But with Shopify Markets, you are able to translate and adapt all of your different websites, which means that you have a great possibility to just work with all of these different countries in a whole nother way, and Shopify is actually doing a lot for this. And my feeling is that Shopify is trying to move as much as possible away from third-party apps in order and just include everything in the Shopify. So as we are Shopify Plus, we have a lot of websites included in our subscription, which means that and also the Shopify Markets and so on is something that we can work with. This means that we, in general, have solved a lot of problems through Shopify, but of course, there are still some things where you need to have different apps. I'm not certain in what you can use in other countries, but here in Denmark, we have a collected courier who is invoicing one time in a month. This means that instead of getting an invoice from UPS, FedEx, all the other couriers, we are handling it all through one big logistic company who will then handle all that stuff from us. They're still sent with UPS, FedEx, and so on, but it's through another company.
Nice. Well, that's quite interesting. And the second question that I got was, since you're working with last year's stock, do you buy off everything at the same time, and you have this backlog of, let's say, 10,000 products that are in your warehouse? How does that work?
Yeah, so basically that's the most hardest thing about the business, is that we are basically buying everything at once, which means that when we buy from the professional cycling teams, we buy all the bikes, all the clothing, all the components, and so on. Mm-hmm. This means that there are certain things that are non-sellable, but we find other way to activate that.
And you, when in our conversation prior to it, you said that you are actually implementing something super interesting that has helped you out with stock that's hard to sell. That's like really good stock, actually, like really good products, but that are hard to sell. What do you do? What's your what's your magic that you've come out with?
Yeah, so I say I'm of course inspired by lots of other entrepreneurs within the e-commerce business, but one of the things that I certainly do is that we have discovered live shopping as a very good implementation to be able to sell a lot of the goods that is not easy sellable. So when you're doing a live shopping session, you would have, let's say, one hour where you can Facebook live cast to an audience. And we have worked with different softwares enabled to implement this, but actually I think that live shopping is really something that is huge. First time we tried it out was in March, so it's not that long ago. But I experienced that our conversion rate of the people who watched the live shopping was almost 25%, which are numbers in e-commerce that I would never even have imagined would be possible.
How does it work? Like, what's the whole concept behind live shopping for you? Because you said that there is like a Facebook Live. Like, in general, how does it work out?
So basically, there's a bunch of different tools that you can use for it, but I always want to. So one of my philosophies whenever I do something in this business is that if I want to test out something, I go all in. So what I did was that we hired a professional video company who were specialized in doing not live shopping, but sending live on Facebook. And I had different talks with them, and we actually agreed to make like a partnership around trying out how it was to do live shopping. So of course it was quite expensive to hire a whole crew, like 5 guys who would be walking around our stock the entire day and preparing for the live shopping. And then myself and one of my employees were the hosts. But what we could see with this live shopping was that because we hired a professional video agency and because that they were experts in it, and the fact that we had prepared ourselves very well, made sure that we could sell lots of the products that we had in stock for a long time. An example is a pair of cycling shoes that we had that were displayed online. But when you're doing like a big decision to buy something online for like 200-300 euros, it takes some time for you. And if you're just slightly in doubt, you rather want to leave out than to buy the stuff. So on the live shopping section, we ensured that we really displayed these products very nice and ensured to tell all about the features. Ensured that we could really just explain to the customers that why they should buy the shoe, and of course we also made like a special discount on the day. One of the examples that I had is that one of these pairs of cycling shoes that we wanted to sell on this live shopping. So we had them in stock for like 18 months and they haven't really moved. But throughout this live shopping session, we almost sold 30 pairs, which is quite a lot for us. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that I would say that's quite impressive of something that was already old and had been in stock for 18 months. But due to the fact that we could display and show it on a live shopping event, we could sell almost all the pairs we had left. And that's just something that I found quite interesting, that the fact that you can display the goods in a whole nother way, you can personalize the feeling that your customers have with this business, with live shopping, is just something that is so difficult to get on social media by a reel or by a post.
How did you do the whole thing? Like, did you have people to sign up for the live shopping event? Like, can you take me through the whole back end of this? Like, from a marketing perspective, what do you do in order to guarantee that you have people on the live shopping, that they are the right people for the live shopping, and that at the end of the day they buy it? So how did you do that?
So if you're going to start first, you have to figure out, okay, what do we want to do with this live shopping event? Do we want to sell out old stock, or do we want to display the new products, or do we want to make a mixture? So we made a mixture. So you find all the products that you want to have ready. That's the first step, and find nice prices for them. Second step is that approximately 2 to 3 weeks pre-the live shopping event, you would create or what we did, it was that we created a like Facebook live shopping session. You can do that in Facebook Business Manager, for instance, and just started inviting all our customers. We started to do a lot of ads on it to make sure that we had a lot of participants. And as it grew like bigger, and as we were getting closer to the starting date, we started to post in this live shopping group about some of the offers that we would do in order to ensure that we would tempt the people to attend. This means that we would have a bunch of offers that we would state this is only available for 1.5 hours during the live shopping session. So this is forcing people to make time towards the shopping. And then you just get like this sense of urgency sort of. So when you're doing live shopping, you can showcase something, and you can say we only have 5 pieces of this one. Yeah. And then you get like you see like, oh shit, there's 400 viewers on this one and there's only 5 pieces. I have to be really fast.
How does it work? Like, do you send them like links towards the product pages and they buy from there, or there's like a native thing on Facebook itself where they can just buy it off of Facebook? Like, how do you do that?
I'm uncertain if there's something native on Facebook. What we did is that we connected to a software called Elisa. I think it's a Danish software. And on that you create the offers beforehand, which means that I could say, I'm gonna make an example in this cup. So this cup today it's €1, and if you want to buy it, you write cup in the comment section.
Okay.
And then Elisa reads automatically all the time, reads all the comments. And because we have connected this word to our Shopify store, all the people who commented would get a counter comment from us stating, buy the product here with a link.
Oh my god, that's super smart actually. So you're in front of the people just like right now, but you're live and you're like telling them, hey, I am selling this. Just write down in the comments below cup, and you're getting the, let's say, 40% offer right now. And we have like 5 left of these.
Exactly, and then you get like a direct link. So when you press on the link, it's already in your basket. So you basically just have to check out, which makes it super convenient for the people.
What about if you're like, because you're selling like boots and stuff like that, there's like, you have to choose a size, you have to choose stuff like that. Is it also like how do you
so that's the smart thing. So if it had multiple different variants, you would write cup, comma, blue, cup, comma, red, cup, comma, yellow. And the same goes with boots. So you would write shoe, comma, 41.
Okay.
And then it would send you a direct link to the 41 size.
So the whole thing is done by the software of Alice.
Elisa, it's actually called. Yeah.
Elisa, yeah. How do you spell it? Probably people would like to use it in the future.
So I'm not sure how it works with international, but we did an international live shopping without problems. So I'm sure you can use it all over the world. But it's called,
like, your Danish friends will probably benefit from this.
Maybe I'll get some free sessions after this. I'm not sponsored though, but it's ELISA. So ELISA.
Elisa. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Then that sounds super smart. So you connect that to your Shopify store, and you do that automatically, and like this is the way to go. What can you expect? Like, what can you expect for turnaround rate for this? Because like people are doing webinars. Webinars are kind of doing a similar thing, where the idea is kind of similar, but for digital products most of the times. But for a live shopping event like yours, like, from the people what's the percentage of the people that signed up and actually went to your event? Like, what can you expect?
So from our first event, we had like, I think it was around 1,000 approximately signups, and we had around 500 people watching it.
That's a really good.
That's a really good
rate.
That's a really good rate.
But 50% is like amazing.
Yeah, and from those we had approximately, I think, 120 orders during the live shopping, which is quite a lot for our business within an hour, which means that we converted approximately 25% of the viewers into sales.
Amazing.
One thing that I would really recommend when you do such thing is that maybe it's not that easy for all stuff, but as you said, when we're buying all the stuff, we are obviously also buying a lot of stuff that we are not being able to sell that easy from the teams. This meant that during the live shopping, we also tempted all the viewers by, when you buy something during this event, you'll get a free gift. And actually we posted quite a lot on these free gifts. So one of them was like a free gift valued, I think it was approximately 35 euro, even though that it just bought something for 1 euro.
Okay.
And now you're thinking, is that bad business? But for us, it wasn't, because these goods were something that was just lying around and we had a lot of them left. And in order to be able to activate them through a live shopping event by giving out a free gift is really something that I found super efficient. Another thing was that if you consider Facebook ads, Google ads and so on nowadays, how much it actually costs for you in the customer journey to win a customer. In most cases, a free gift worth 35 euro with a much lower cost price obviously is really cheap in order to acquire a new customer. So in fact, not only did we acquire lots of new customers during the live shopping session who were maybe a little bit in doubt about who we are, how to shop with us and so on, we also got a lot of loyal customers who we can now backtrack and see they've been loyal customers ever since this live shopping event. We also got a lot of comments on social media and different stuff saying it was so nice, and maybe I'm a little bit, it's a very subjective this one, but we got a lot of nice comments saying the two hosts were very professional and very clearly speaking, and they made some great offers, and they were really good at also like explaining as they were doing it. So what I also did was that I had a microphone in the whole session. As I said, this was with a professional video company. So I had a microphone in during the whole session, and then I had a colleague on the side who would go through the comments and see if there were any questions.
Yep.
So sometimes I would get a question in the microphone, and then I would say, I'm getting a question here from Louise, who is asking, is this available in other sizes? And then I could explain, yes, it is available in other sizes.
Yeah, so you're very interactive in this way with your potential customers, and that's very interesting. So basically, if I have to break it down, you go to a live shopping event, you tell the people prior to it that there are going to be some great offers in it. Maybe you even show what the products are actually going to be like. They're like, ah, that's interesting. Let me go to that event. You go to the event and you start explaining as the professional, because like I think that one of the keys why it worked out is that you are a real authority, let's say, in the industry. Like it's not like me going and speaking to people for cycling. That obviously I'm not the person to talk about this topic, but you have an authority speaking about the products, and you're explaining like why they're cool, and you're getting, let's say, a 20% or a 30% or a 40% discount, and on top of that, you also get a free gift with every purchase. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So that's also of course, something that was contributing to the fact that we got a lot of orders. However, what I would say is that the thing is that after the event, you have a ton of good content because of course this professional video agency saved all the small things we said on the way, and they made like a small film afterwards, and then we could use this small film to advertise for the next event. So the thing was that it was just like a rolling snowball for us, that basically but it was like a rolling snowball. However, I would say that for us, we have had a little bit more pause in the summer, but for us, I think it works the best in the winter period, because people are more at home, it's dark outside, it's a little bit cold, like people are more at home sitting on their computer or at their phone at night rather than being out and biking.
Okay, how often would you recommend to do such? What has worked for you, or what are your concerns when you're making these? So how often should you make such events?
I would say 1 to 2 times a month.
Oh, 2 times a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say, but if you do once a month and you prepare well, you're gonna have success with it. Of course, some might not, But if you do it once a month, you prepare yourself well, you know what products you can sell, you know the sharpest of the sharpest price you can give on these products. And you make sure that you find products that are not cannibalizing on anything else or not cannibalizing too much on something else, then you can really have a great success rate with it.
Okay, that's very interesting because I would even think about, okay, that's a 1 in 3 months thing. Like that's something that you do once and it's like a big event and then you stop doing it. Or not really. Like, don't you have the fears that, let's say, everyone will, rather than like going to the web shop and buying like the stock in like a normal price, that they're just gonna wait for the next live shopping event?
So yeah, that's where the power of Facebook ads and Google ads and so on plays in, because alongside when we are of course doing these live shopping events, as I stated, we have had a break during the summer here. We are going to start again in August. But the power of the ads that we're running normally is that we win a lot of customers who go into our website, who get a very good like first time experience with all the products, and then they know for sure the next time they're going to look like for our web shop when they want to buy something. And this means that of course they can wait for the next event, but if you're looking for a new chain for your bike, or if you're looking for something else, it's not worth it to wait for a live shopping event, because that would not be this kind of stuff that we would go out with there. It's more likely like, let's say, a big assortment of helmets, of shoes, of jerseys and so on, that we would have some kind of overstocking or something that we really want to push. Is what we do in live shopping. And then of course we also have all the normal goods that we have on our website. So during the live shopping event, I also encourage people to say, okay, you can buy this online with the live shopping event, but you can also keep it in your basket, get more stuff from the live shopping, and also find other stuff online that you wish to purchase.
Okay, like, does the offer expire after the live shopping event?
Yeah,
Or
so
yeah, if they've added to cart something that was like during the live shopping event, it was, let's say, €100, but it typically would cost €200. So
yeah.
does it stay like that for those people that have added to basket, or it's done? It doesn't work anymore.
So we chose to make it available for, I think it was 48 hours if
Okay.
you add it to the basket. So if you are watching the live shopping and you press, you wrote like cup or whatever, and you added it to your basket, then it would be available for the next 48 hours.
Okay.
This means that, but you're still encouraging people to say you still need to participate the event in order
Yes.
to get the offer, even though that you can check out a day or two later.
Yes. Okay, that's really really interesting. What is your plan with this? Like, how do you envision it? Is it something that you're gonna use mostly for new drops, or it's mostly to clear out really quality stock that for some reason is not selling that well?
So that's the great thing. We are still, I think we're still in a testing phase. That's something that I would like to say. I'm always trying to test things off, and I always want to test new stuff off also. So I would say we're still in a testing phase. We tried with clearing out old stock, which was a good success. We tried with like a brand new big release of stuff, which was also a great success. This means that for me, I've seen it work both ways now. But the thing was that on the new stuff that we brought, we didn't give discounts a lot. But what we did was that we added like a bigger and better free gift.
Okay. Okay. Nice. I think that you just did a small masterclass on like what you should be doing live shopping and how to do it, because it's like it's a big topic. Like that's something that's coming from China. Like China is huge in live shopping, but for one reason or another, it's still not the biggest thing either in Europe or in the States,
Mm.
and it's something that's probably going to be rising more and more. So that's great. And
I
what are
would
the
say,
yeah yeah
sorry,
yeah
I
yeah
would
go
say
ahead.
from our perspective, one of the things that worked was that we worked, as I said, with a professional video agency called Vinia, Vinea, or Vinia, something like that, Vinia.
You can send me the link. You can send me the link, and I will include it in the
Yeah,
description of the
Vinia
podcast.
Media. They're really professional within this, and they're really great at it. What I would state is that the most important is that you find a local agency who has experience within sending live. they don't necessarily need to have the experience in doing the live shopping, because you will see very, very, very few agencies specializes with this. But if they can set up the whole, like changing cameras, being able to make sure that everything works, make sure that all the videos and so on are in place, then you have a great possibility to make sure that you can get a great success, because you also need yourself to do some work behind it. I have not yet seen a video or an agency who are offering the full package, and if they were to do so, I could imagine that you need to sell quite expensive goods in order for this to pay off. So do yourself a favor, if you want to try it out, test it out. Hire an agency or somebody who is very experienced within sending live, and then the shopping and the how to integrate with Shopify and everything, you do that yourself.
Okay, like, and that's very smart to do so, because like sometimes the video costs are like very high anyways. Video agencies are not a cheap thing in general, so yeah, you don't want definitely to cut the whole margin and the whole logic of it because of that. Quite interesting in that regard. Like, what are, let's say, 2 or 3 things that you would say that you absolutely must not do during a live shopping event? Like, what are big, huge misses that you can do that you shouldn't?
I still think there's probably a lot of things I haven't experienced yet, but one of the things that we sort of made a mistake about one time was that we posted a lot of stuff online, and then we had to sync it between the stores, but we had a syncing issue. So we had to actually postpone one live shopping event an hour to be able to make it work. And that's the reason was that we said, okay, we have all of this major stuff dropping at 7 p.m. where we're going live, and then the same time that we were going live, we had to post all the stuff online. We had a quite big issue because the stuff was not syncing correctly. So I would say make sure that the products are online 2 or 3 or 4 hours before. Do a test order through the live shopping app. Do a test during the day, and then then just learn from your mistakes, because I could talk a lot about mistakes, but you need to get out there and learn them yourself as well.
That's a great one. So basically, you're not using the same product tags or like SKUs that you have typically on your store. You upload them as a separate new product.
So not on the first one, that was a huge success because it was old stock we were clearing out. But as I stated, on the second one we did, where we did like a drop, like a release drop, there we sort of mistimed it because we didn't really think about syncing time and all that stuff. So make sure the products are online and do some test orders before you just jump right into it.
Okay, quite interesting. And since the people that are watching this are typically e-com store owners, and you have a pretty big e-com store anyways, and you're selling all around the world, you're seeing all of the tendencies that are coming and going in Facebook ads, in Google ads, in general. What would you say has really changed for your business in the past couple of years? Like, what has really changed, and how did you adapt in order to still be quite profitable with your store?
So one of the things I would say is that as the ROAS are more and more difficult in order to achieve, so the return on ad spend is more difficult to achieve than before because of the Facebook ads are getting more expensive and Google and so on, you need to be more creative, and that's why that we tried out live shopping. That's why that we are trying out to do more community and do a lot of stuff. So be less focused on spending your entire budget on Facebook ads and Google ads. Try more also to do some kind of alternative. Set aside X amount of euro to hire a videographer agency in order to do the live shopping. Some of these stuff is really something that I would recommend. Try to be more creative, because you're in a battle between lots of different newcoming marketeers who can do lots with Facebook ads, and just in general a market that are very difficult to be able to achieve good results in. So be more creative, try to create like a community around your business. It's something that I would really encourage to do so. So make sure that you're available on all social media. Make sure that your content is not just about buy this bike, buy these shoes, but could be like, here are 5 great tips on the bike. Here are we at the Tour de France with some of the riders. We are here to sell the jerseys, but we are most and foremost at the Tour de France available. Like, try to post some content that is not necessarily direct focused on selling, and that's going to create a community and loyal customers, and your returning customer rate might increase a lot.
Do you advertise these posts, for example, or you just keep it as organic as possible?
I mean, depends a lot. I mean, like the other day we made like a small video on our Instagram, like a reel where I just we make a lot of fun also, where I just go through our warehouse on like a little mini scooter, and I drop it, and then I say, fuck, look at these bikes here, they're super cheap, we set them all the way down to this. And actually that one, it was just organic, but 50% of the viewers that we had on that video was like not following us.
Okay.
This means that we have quite strong results with posting funny content. Don't think so much about your feed. Don't think too much about having an aesthetic, nice, clean feed. Think more about make content that will make sure that the viewer will watch fast and will watch it all. And that's why that I'm not just in my videos, at least we are trying not to just stand in front of a bike and say, this bike costs 3,000 euro, it's set down from 5,000. But instead, like me coming through the whole warehouse on a scooter, dropping it all the way around the floor and say, I got these bikes right here, being like a guy who is just drunk 5 Red Bull, right?
I mean, you're living it like just because you're like in the Gen Z world and you understand it because you were part of it. You're making that type of content that, like, you have Facebook and Instagram as a native person. It's really hard sometimes for a little bit older e-com store owners to think about stuff like that. So I would recommend for people like that, just hire younger marketeers and younger people to do your social media, because even though I'm 1 year younger than you are, I sometimes feel like that I'm not native enough to those platforms, that I'm not native enough to TikTok. And when my colleagues are coming and they're like, oh my God, Victor, you're so boring, you need to make some more funny stuff. And I'm like, no, don't do that. so yeah, it's a big thing that's happening right now. And since you're this young entrepreneur that's been doing so much since 19 and like so much great things since 19, where are you imagining CYKOM to be, let's say, in 3 years? Like, what should CYKOM achieve in 3 years?
So CYKOM is on a journey to be deeply integrated in the world of professional cycling, and we want to be the first company that you think about, like in terms of when you watch Tour de France, we want to be like, let's say, the first company you think about when you think about, oh, what equipment are they riding on? What bikes are they riding on? And so on. We want to be like the first company that pops in your head. First and foremost, because we are physically at the races. That's one thing. Secondly, because we are hosting and doing all the logistics and the marketing and so on for the professional cycling teams. And then lastly, of course, that you can buy the actual bikes that you're seeing in the television from us.
Great. And how many people are right now in CYKOM or around CYKOM and the companies that you have acquired?
Yeah, so we are not the biggest organization, I would say. Normally we are 18, but right now, as we are doing the Tour de France and we have a lot of pop-up shops in France, we are around 30.
Okay, great. So do you have the vision to create this huge team, like this very big team, or you would like to keep it as boutique as possible?
I would say my vision is quite big with this company, but I must also say that I'm not sure if I'm the correct or the right CEO for forever. So this means that I know that I can probably take this company to around 50 employees, but from them on, probably there's going to be another CEO who is more like has more like experience from being an executive officer than me. So I'm quite aware that I can probably take this company to a certain level, but then I would also need some other people to support me even more.
In the journey between like 19 and right now, like around 25, 26, what were like the biggest misconceptions that you had about business in general in that process? That like were the big things that you would say, if I'm a young person, if I'm you're still young, but like if I am 19 again, these are the things that I shouldn't be doing.
Um, there's a lot. But one of the things I would say is that you need to make sure that you always do something you're very passionate about. So obviously, I'm super passionate about cycling. I still like whenever we have the new bikes from the teams, my jaw drops and I'm just like in love with all of them, right? This means that you need to do something that you're passionate about because I would never ever have been able to maintain a high, great mood and so on if I was just, selling hammers and screws, right? So
Yeah.
this means that for me, I'm very passionate about cycling. So I think that's the most important success criteria. And then again, don't be too afraid of making flaws because that's what makes you better and that's what makes you stronger. And then lastly, of course, make sure that you step out of your comfort zone as much as possible. So Victor, if you don't like to do those funny movies and so on, do them. Do them anyway. Try to practice yourself. And at one point you'll see, okay, I'm not a comedian on the stage. I'm not the best behind the camera, but I'm still so far now from where I was, right? So make sure that you step a lot out of your comfort zone and learn new stuff and try new stuff. That would be my like most important advice. And not to say anything to you, it's just like I'm just taking from your example, right?
Of course. In since I typically take the last 10 to 15 minutes of the podcast to talk a little bit about more personal stuff, and I always ask all of my guests the following things. And what are your absolute game-changing books for your life? Like, what did really change the game of business for you?
I talk like physical books or
Yeah, books like yeah, maybe you've read.
hmm,
I mean, you can listen to them as well.
yeah.
But yeah, which are like the top ones that you would recommend?
So I read a book at one point about habits. It's written by a Danish author called Mike Rador, and he's a quite great entrepreneur. Also sold a company, has been quite successful, and his book is basically mostly about like how to build up good habits and how like and don't overdo them also. Like, so one of the things that I've tried to like follow is that I need to make sure that I exercise, I need to make sure that I drink enough of water and so on. And this is like so like this is a cliche. All entrepreneurs say I drink a lot of water, I do a lot of exercise, I get up 5 in the morning. But anyways, for me, I don't get up at 5 in the morning. I do the exercise that I can, but I still like really try to get out there, clear my head, just get a habit out of doing some exercise and doing some other stuff. And really important, do some stuff that has nothing to do with your company, or nothing, maybe nothing to do with your company, but at least something that will clear your head. For me, to get out on the bike is something that clears my head. To go for a run will clear my head. To go an hour in the gym, it's called Barry's. It's like in a red room where you have a trainer who is just yelling at you to jump on the treadmill and get down on the floor and do some dumbbell push-ups and all that different stuff. Is something that is actually quite nice for me because this is like 1 hour where I only have to focus on another person's commands.
Yeah, because you're always the leader in your team, and you're not used to this, and then you get for like 1 hour someone to be like, "You suck. You need to be better."
Yeah. You can do more, come on.
Yeah, it's something that I'm always facing because I have a few businesses, my own e-com store, agency, and so on. And it's like that's one of the things I joined like an NGO where it was like, I don't want to be a leader. Please put me on a position where someone else will tell me you need to do this. So Great. But are you a fan of books anyways? Like, do you read a lot, or you're not really into it? And do you read like more business books, or you read more like fiction or like typical literature? Like, what's on your mind?
So I would say I'm more into podcasts because
Okay.
I bike to work every day,
Hmm.
back and forth. There's like a 45-minute bike ride, so I get like an hour and a half fresh air every day on the bike. This means that I have like 1.5 hour to kill sort of every day, and
Hmm.
then I just listen to a bunch of different podcasts. One of the things that is quite important for me is that I listen to almost all the cycling podcasts that is out there. And the reason I do this is that I'm completely updated with the newest equipment, with the newest gear, how the riders are doing, how the teams are doing, what's the financial situation of all the different stakeholders that I have.
That's
This
very
means that,
smart.
yeah, this means that, and then of course I love it. Like I love to listen to it, I love to hear about the teams and so on because it's my passion. And that goes back to having a great passion, right? So when you have a
Hmm.
passion about something, you would want to, I sit around like bikes and so on all day long. Of course, there's also a lot of boring stuff like HR, finance, and so on. But I sit around this all day long, and then when I go home, like I really enjoy just to listen to podcast about how was the tour stage yesterday and everything like that. So for me, I prefer a podcast rather than books actually.
That's great. That's great. What are the top people that you're following in terms of business or e-commerce that you would recommend for others to also follow and listen to?
Can we take the next question while I think?
Well, I mean, I
Okay,
always take
okay,
it
okay.
one after another, but that's okay.
Yeah, okay. I have it then. Of course, the founder of Gymshark is someone that
Yes.
I really find interesting. Also because I feel like he did it in a very difficult market, and also the way of just developing his business is just something else, right? And also the fact that you can create a unicorn in a business or in an industry that is so difficult to work within, the clothing industry, and then
Yes.
online, and then even training clothing that has to fit perfectly. That's just super impressive.
Okay, that's great. How do you build your peer group in terms of business? Like, because when you're like 20, 25, your friends are probably not business people. Like, how do you find the right people to be around in order for you to grow so much?
I mean, I feel like I have a bunch of very good friends who are inspiring me a lot, and I think I'm the type of person who get quite easily inspired. So it doesn't have to be like business wise. Like then I have a friend who is maybe like a little bit choppy and so on, but then he decides to do a triathlon like an Ironman, and then I'm quite inspired by the journey that he does. Even though that thousands of people does this every year, I'm quite
Yes.
inspired by how you can push yourself and move yourself from one stage to another, getting out of your comfort zone and just experience the whole journey from not doing a lot of exercise to actually completing, let's say, an Ironman. I also get a lot of, like, for me, just the fact I'm an entrepreneur, of course, but I have a lot of friends who are studying, and I think that's also very impressive. Like for me, it's super hard to study. I did the IT university myself on the side as I was building this business. It was super difficult, and I would say that just the fact that having people around you who are inspiring, who has passion about something, whether it's books, podcast, cycling, whatever. If you have passionate people about you, I always feel like you can take out something like this that is great.
My next question would be, where do you see yourself, not in 5 years, but where do you see yourself in 2040? What do you think would be changed, would have changed so much, and where do you see yourself? Are you still working on CYKOM? Are you still doing cycling? Or you're maybe building an empire on something else? Like, what is Oscar Bjorn doing then?
I'm in France and cycling with my friends. No, but I hope that in 20 or 40 years I'll be on a bike enjoying my life, but still doing something that I love, whether it's cycling or whether it's something else. But just for me to be able to keep on developing myself is super important. So if I can stay at something that I would keep on doing, that would keep on developing myself, would be like my number one goal always. And it's not, my goal is not necessarily to sell this business for X amount of millions or whatever. It's to do something that I really love and really are passionate about.
And I have two last questions. One of them is, what would you say to other people that are 18 or 20 or 22 that want to become entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs? What will be your biggest advice for them?
Oh, I would say that you can have great success if you just go out there and start it. I mean, I didn't think too much about my name, secondhand cycling clothing.dk at first. I didn't know how to build a Shopify store or anything. I just started from scratch, just building everything from there. Had to learn a lot because I couldn't afford like expensive consultants or anything. So I had to like learn about VAT, learn about financials, learn about make sure that I did the declarations for the tax authorities at the right time and so on. So just the fact that you can start a business and just even in a super small scale, like you can have a revenue on, let's say, 20,000 euro a year, but you will still need to do your tax declarations. You will still need to learn about like all the stuff you have to do when you have a bigger company. So just get out there and start the company. Don't think too much about others' opinion, because if I did that back in 2016, I would never have started. So yeah.
Great. And what would you say to the people that are in their 40s and they see those young entrepreneurs? What would you tell them for those skeptics? What should change in their mindset?
I wouldn't say that they should change too much. I just say that if you are 40, you can still be a super successful entrepreneur. I mean, if you want to build a great business, if you have some life experience, you can do it in much less time. And maybe you have some sources around you that like liquidity and money and so on, that makes it even easier for you. So I would say that even if you're 40, you should just start. Go on. Life is long and you have lots of time if you prioritize it.
And absolutely last question this time. Who should be one of the next guests of the Markademics podcast? Who should I invite? Who you would say that has so much value to bring to the people and to the podcast?
So I have a good friend. I haven't talked with him about this, so he'll probably get quite surprised. His name is Marco Nobel. And he's quite interesting. I think you like him. He's also on the Forbes under 30 in Europe, and I was with him in Botswana. He's a quite interesting guy. Currently, he did some really exciting stuff, but currently he's living by being a DJ all over the world. It's pretty cool.
Okay, and that will be very interesting. Well, Oscar, really thank you for this podcast, and wishing you a ton of success with CYKOM and your life in general, because you are a true inspiration to many people, and I think that the world should be talking more about people like you and what you do, because your mindset, your way of working and dedication is like a great example for everyone.
Thank you, Victor, and thank you so much for bringing me along. I hope that you get a lot of success, not only with this podcast, but also with your other businesses.
Thank you very much.